Hey everyone, and welcome to Already Cancelled. I am Peter, and that is Tara, and we are going to talk about Babylon 5, Season 1, Episode 4. It is called Infection. So, full spoilers for the episode. As always, this episode is about an old professor of Dr. Franklin, who shows up with some interesting artifacts that he got on a dead planet, which ends up turning his, I say friend, his lackey, his assistant, into a bioweapon, and that becomes it becomes kind of like a cheesy B movie. There's a monster on the ship kind of episode at a certain point, but that's the gist of it. We'll get into it. But how do you feel about this one?
It's okay. I didn't hate it. I like the story of the civilization we got. It's more of a doctor centered episode, which we don't really know very much about him yet. So, I mean, that was kind of good. I still don't know if I like the doctor character. He just comes off very abrasive. But it was nice when he was like interested in something and excited about it.
Yeah, I think what's interesting, because if you say this is kind of the doctor's episode, Franklin's episode to, I don't know, because the others have all had, like, the first episode was very Jacquard and Londo, second episode was very Sinclair and Delenn, last episode was kind of back to Londo character stuff. This kind of fails at what those did, and I don't necessarily feel like it really sets up a big theme for the Doctor. It just kind of gives him some screen time. I
mean, it feels like he's the A storyline, and then the B storyline is like matched up with the A storyline.
Kind of, yeah. No, I agree. My favorite stuff in this is probably the mythology of this planet and the backstory as to how it died and all that kind of stuff. The actual, I wasn't super into the conversations about the artifacts and all that. And the suit, once the transformation happens, is very Power Rangers villain-esque. That said, though, it kind of went, like, I didn't like it at first when he first started turning, but once he got, like, bulky and it had sort of taken its full form, I was kind of into it, and this is kind of fun and cheesy.
Yeah, you know what it reminds me of? Demon Seed.
A little bit, yeah.
My metal baby.
A little bit. I could see that. So,
because they were going for some kind of, like, living metal look.
Yeah. Well, that's the whole idea. Is this weaponry, bio-organic weaponry, which is designed from this planet that thinks for itself and grows and expands.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're like Transformers, right? They're just sentient robots or machines.
Kind of. Well, because the Doctor, I don't mean Franklin, I mean his professor. He mentions that the Vorlons have organic ships. They have technology that's organic.
Yeah.
And some speculate that the Minbari also have organic technology. So it's like, hey, human beings are behind on this. This is something maybe we should be looking into. But there's some like ethical debates about stealing it from like the graves of dead planets and if this is a good idea or not.
Right. I said it was buried like a mile deep on a planet that they thought didn't have any life before. It's like, how did you know even to look there?
I think the weakest part of the episode really is the fact that they have to go out of their way to make the professor and his like assistant villains, because we start the episode with the assistant killing the guy in customs, so that because organic material, anything biological, has to go into a 48-hour quarantine, and they just didn't want to do that. So
yeah, that's like one of the opening scenes is that the guy has to go through customs. He even asks him if he has any fruit to declare. And the guy is like, his dialogue is the worst. The one guard that's on late night duty. He's just like, oh, your case, it's odd. It's bigger on the outside than on the inside. It's almost like you have a hidden compartment. He's saying this out loud by himself. Like, clearly the guy's smuggling something, and then he gets strangled.
Yeah.
Strangled and defibrillated.
That said, I mean, Garibaldi does mention that he only just started the job recently, so he didn't really know him that well. So he's new. He's inexperienced.
He really should have kept things to himself and then called security. Yeah.
Yeah, he's inexperienced, and instead he's dead. So that's the sequence of events. But I think like going out there, because it didn't really need that when you think about it. If they just brought this on and it was on the up and up where they put it through quarantine, they brought it on board, and then the infection itself still happened, he could still do everything else in the episode. Because do we actually get anything from the professor being arrested at the end because he did all this? I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I guess it could have worked either way.
I suppose that's where it fails, because I imagine the reason for that is for the conflict of interest with Franklin, where is Franklin actually tempted by this shady stuff? Is that, that's the whole point of this, is to show his moral line and what he believes and what he is willing to do, and if he thinks, what does he think about this stuff? And some of that does come out. He talks about this weaponry, and he talks about it like us leaping ahead, and we should get there naturally if we're ever going to have it. And his
archaeologist professor whatever guy is like, you were one of my best students, and if I remember, you were always saying that you wanted to be in the history books along with Fleming and some other people, Takashima or something.
There's a whole list of like 7 or something like that.
Yeah, like people who existed and people who I don't think, maybe they are. I don't know who Takashima is, but maybe they're famous for something.
Basically, what you're asking is is one of them what's the character from Star Trek?
Musk.
No, the one with First Contact.
Oh, is that from Cochrane?
Thank you, Cochrane. Right, you're wondering if one of those names is like their Zephyrin Cochrane, where they threw in like a made up one. Okay.
Right. I don't know that much about the history of medicine, except for Fleming. I know his name, but like the rest were all, I don't know. So it's just like, okay, so this doctor wants to have the equivalent of the Nobel Prize for medicine. Like, he has big ambitions. He wants to be famous for a big discovery, and this could do it for him.
And the professor alternatively just wants money, because he was supposed to take it back
delicious money.
He was supposed to take it back to like the bioweaponry division of EarthGov, and instead he wants to like evaluate it and see who he can sell it to the highest bidder. And perhaps the most interesting part of the episode for me in terms of the main plot is when the 2 guys from EarthGov show up at the end, being like, where's the artifacts? We're taking it, we're confiscating it. And immediately it's kind of like this downer moment, because basically we have to get into what the weaponry is, how it was designed and what it was for. I mean, I think it's a bit of a stretch just how much information they're able to get about this, given that this world's been dead for 1,000 years, but hey, we'll go with it. So basically the Akari was the race that was on this planet. They were, they needed defenses, and they were attacked multiple times, so they developed weaponry that could get better and enhance and keep growing and always like adapt and charge and become better again.
And then a fascist put his own brain into the machine.
Well, no, it wasn't so much that a fascist put his own brain. It was that the fascist regime programmed it to kill anything that wasn't pure-blooded Akari. And as Franklin points out, there's no such thing as, like, if you talk about humans, there's no such thing as the pure human. It doesn't exist. We're all different. That's kind of the point of like life. And this thing basically started killing, like the things that are, the Akari or whoever that are completely different, and then it kept noticing little things that were different and kept killing and killing until the entire planet was just gone.
I thought that he was a fascist because that kind of plays into what they're going with, what's happening on Earth, and now Earth is trying to get that weaponry.
No, he is, but the idea was that it wasn't just like one mad fascist. It was like the fascist regime, like that entire like political group decided to do this, and it came back and bit them because it killed everyone. Because even they're not. Because Sinclair even compares it to the Aryan, race. Like he says, it's just like the Aryan idea back in World War II. Like he says that.
Yes.
So this idea of the pure blood, and he essentially, I think this side of things is a little interesting, because going back to the ending where Franklin is like a little bit miffed that these guys show up to take it. Right before they show up, he's theorizing that, I'm a little bit worried that, with everything going back on Earth and, all the bigotry and the racism. He doesn't say those words, but that's what he's talking about. This idea that are we doomed to repeat this mistake? Are we doomed to have this exact same thing happen where
it's Ivanova who brings it up. She brings up the writings of somebody and says that those who don't study history are doomed to repeat it. And she said, "Don't worry, so we'll be fine." And then immediately they show up and ask for the weapons because they need it for Earth's defense.
Yep. So they're going to take it. They're going to work it. And it's one of those things. Like, are we going to see some of this tech again? Are they going to have turned it into something else? This goes back to what I liked about some of the stuff in the first episode. The idea that we're getting a sense of what the politics in the world is like back on Earth, right, via these little things. These moments where they're taking these elements because they're using this stuff and they're gearing up for some kind of war that they think is inevitable, and all these elements.
We get more of that with the television host, the news host that's there. She's trying to interview Sinclair about the second anniversary of Babylon 5, and he's like really resistant to doing it. But then when he actually finally does at the end sit down to talk with her, she starts like InfoWars him. Like, do you think this is the best for us? Allowing alien foreigners onto our space station. Is this really the best use of our resources right now? Or should we be like, shouldn't we be focusing on Earth and its issues? And Sinclair gives like a great speech about how humanity has no choice but to go to space because eventually we won't have Earth.
Yeah, the speech is really good because he talks about how if you ask 10 different scientists, 10 of the best scientists on Earth about a bunch of different things, they'll all give you different answers. They'll all come up with different theories and they'll have different working ideas as to how to solve certain things. But the one thing they'll all agree on is that someday could be 100 years from now, could be 1,000, could be 1,000,000, but one day the sun's going to die out. One day it's going to be gone, and we're going to have moved somewhere else. And I don't think it's a coincidence. It's actually really good storytelling, even though I thought this is a great episode, that we dealt with a world in this episode that died out, that didn't exist anymore.
Right.
So
that's how he defeats it too. That's how he defeats the big baddie. Sinclair definitely has the death wish, right?
Well, I was saving that. Yeah, I was going to get to that in a second. But he once again puts himself in the front line of being the one who hunts the monster, who is unkillable because they get into like a firing squad. They all take him on, because that's somewhere where the fun B-movie stuff comes into the episode, where they're trying to like track it throughout the ship, and they're like shutting blaster doors here, and they're trying to like lure it into the main corridor so they can, fire all they've got at it and all the rest of it. Sinclair ultimately though runs after it on his own, putting himself in danger, the commander, the leader of the whole station, and essentially convinces it that its world is dead and there's nothing to defend. Because I kind of love how it keeps going around going, protect, as it fires its laser thing. But I mean, that stuff was fun. But no, I think it's really important that his speech there is about the world needing a new home and dying. And it's not that the alien race died the same way, because it didn't. In fact, that's a whole different problem on another front. These are both things that need to be dealt with. These are two different ways that humanity can die out. And I think certainly, if nothing else, Babylon 5 is kind of about, hey, let's not all kill each other. Let's find a way to move forward. And
right.
I mean, I felt it's in the opening like speech, the last best hope of peace. That's what it says. Literally what it says. But no, that stuff's good, I think. But no, but to be fair though, this going on the front lines things, Garibaldi does come and comment on it.
I'm glad he did, because I did find it frustrating, because it's a really long chase scene where he's going after him, and he does get shot. He doesn't get vaporized like the last two people who got shot, which is convenient.
It's not the Riker speech. It's not the "you shouldn't be doing this because you're in charge." Although I think that's kind of implied underneath it all as well.
No, it's that you probably have severe PTSD and some underlying issues that you are not addressing, and even though you're not suicidal, but you won't back down from something. It's almost like he wants to die in a blaze of glory. Like it's almost as though he took the position of commander of Babylon 5, because in the back of my mind he knows the other 4 are gone now and he can go down with the ship.
Yeah, it talks about how like people who come back from war like never quite leave it, and they almost look for a way to get back into a fight. He also talks about how it's easier to find something to die for than it is just for something to live for. And some of the, I know you've not been a big fan of Sinclair, the character.
Yeah, I like him. Most of the time. I thought he was a little bit silly when he was yelling at the.
No, I agree.
At the demon seed.
No, I agree. When he's talking to the alien weaponry, when he's trying to convince him, because ultimately he wins by making the alien like weaponry look into the memories of the human that it's like taken over, because he
Yes.
knows where they got the artifacts and it's all
Look
dead.
upon my works, ye mighty in despair.
But what I was trying to get at though is that there's actually a moment from him that I really like in the scene with Garibaldi, when he asks him if he's done, when Garibaldi's given this little speech. And Garibaldi's speech, well, I like what it's doing. I do think it's a little bit overwritten, but when he says, "Are you done?" there's a tone in his voice like he's really mad. But then, like a couple of seconds later, you know, he sort of has time to like to process it a little bit. He kind of admits that maybe it's something that he should be thinking about, that he should be,
Yeah.
you know.
He
trying
says he
to
doesn't have an
improve.
answer for him, but
Yeah.
he probably should, and something needs to look into.
Yeah.
So it ended up being a good Sinclair episode, even though like the stuff where he's yelling at the demon seed guy, I don't know, it felt like a different character was there.
Yeah, it's like he was trying to like taunt him, and maybe that's the whole idea, is that once he's actually in battle, the battle version of him comes out. You know, that one who's like more of a traditional, even though he's being quite smart in what he's actually doing.
He's very Captain Kirk. in
Yeah,
this.
he's trying to like piss him off. He's getting a reaction out of
Outlogic
him.
the computer so that it explodes itself. And also, Kirk was very much a, leap without licking
Oh, for sure,
kind
yeah.
of captain.
But that was very much never addressed. Whereas the fact that Garibaldi came in here and started with, okay, this is the third time recently that you've like threw yourself into a big fight with something when you really
Yeah.
shouldn't be. Because you're a command. Because even the news reporter points that out. Like, because when Sinclair keeps like disappearing to do things, like, shouldn't this be something he delegates to someone else?
Yeah.
This is someone else's job, surely. So I appreciate that some of the bridge crew are consistent. I noticed a couple of the same
Yeah.
faces from before, but and they're
Yeah,
they're,
definitely.
they're barely characters. They're just sitting there at the computers, but
No, but they're just bad enough to be noticeable in their line delivery.
that's fair. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, this is definitely the goofiest episode so far, and I have fun with some of the cheesiness, and I like some of the stuff it's doing. But once again, I don't think it's a wasted episode, because when you look at the themes of the episode, you can clearly see how it's talking about these worlds that have died and these civilizations that are just gone because they didn't get their shit together.
I think
Yeah.
I like this one better than Soul Hunter.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah, if you like it more, you like it more.
Yeah.
Uh,
Soul Hunter.
Oh my god, you just did that so you could do. You could say that.
I did not. I just couldn't resist.
Yeah.
I do genuinely think this one I liked a bit better than Soul Hunter.
I like the backstory stuff. The stuff with the professor, I just thought was kind of whatever. I mean, Franklin, it's great that he has a bit more time and we get a bit more of his morals. There's definitely a better episode coming up that I remember from what I saw before that does a lot more for him in terms of his character.
I need
than
more
this
for
did.
his character
Yeah.
so far, because I don't know, like he's okay.
He's
He's not like he's the the agnostic guy who's kind of curmudgeon-y.
There's a ethical dilemma episode coming up for him. It may be like episode 10 or something. It may not be too soon, but that definitely gives him a much more interesting story for him to kind of really test his character on. This it's that's I guess this episode to me feels the most kind of like generic TV episode so far in some ways, which is maybe why I'm not down on it, but it's it's a goofy monster
I like
of the
the
week.
design
yeah.
of the little brain like insect thing that burrows into the Drake. I think his name was.
It's kind of the CPU of the whole thing, right?
Yeah. I like the design of that.
because that's what he takes off and crushes at the end when he realizes there's nothing to defend anymore. The
Like an
17th
insect.
Reich has fallen, so he's like, well, actually not. It's older than Earth, or older than humans, so I guess it's more like the negative 500th Reich, but whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did like the backstory, even though I thought the way it was sort of discovered felt a bit convenient and clunky.
I agree.
I did actually like
and
what
I
all
like
of
the
it was saying.
consequences of of humans, well, not humans, but like Earth and the direction that we know Earth is headed right now, and their government is headed, and the fact that they have this technology now. I mean, I like what that's introducing, since I know this is long form storytelling, so it's going to come up again.
Yeah, I suspect it will. If anything, them getting this tech is might end up being the most important plot point of the whole episode in terms of what comes up later.
Mm-hmm.
But like I say though, the planet history stuff I think is good stuff to think about. I never really care about the villains that much in this episode, especially the lackey who becomes the monster, if you will. He's just kind of generic dude, like number one. Like, that's all he is. He's actually rocking a very similar haircut to Sinclair. I noticed it was like they got like stunt. It wouldn't surprise me if they said this was Sinclair's stunt double. This guy.
Maybe. I mean, I thought he was okay. I didn't think he was like bad or anything.
I didn't think it was bad either. It was just kind of bland. It was kind of generic.
Like, villain of the week.
Yeah, that's what it is. Can we talk about earlier in the episode? Garibaldi's talking to.
Oh God.
The reporter. We have to talk about this.
He's been pervy in more than one episode already.
He has. Well, last time, like, it wasn't a pervy thing he was saying, but Talia, like, sensed when he said favourite thing that it was a lie, because his favourite thing is obviously his penis. So he's like, okay, second favourite thing. This moment here, though, he's talking to the reporter, and he's clearly, like, flirting, because he's like, yeah, I've watched all your shows, you're whatever. But he picks up this alien thing. It's like a little, like, bit of tree bark or something. Yeah. And he's like, oh, this is either an aphrodisiac or, like, floor wax. I don't know if it's worth taking the risk. And then afterwards, he's like, you know what? Screw it. If I get any, like, yellow, like, mold build-up anywhere, I'm going to be back. I mean, this is... I don't know. Garibaldi has this charm where I don't think this joke on its own is that funny. But there's something just schlubby enough about Garibaldi that makes me kind of chuckle at this stupid joke.
I don't know if I love it. I didn't really love his flirting with with Talia either.
That's fair.
I like Garibaldi as a character, and I think the actor plays him well. Like, he's very endearing. But when he does this stuff, like, I don't know, it comes off as, okay, boundaries. You're being inappropriate.
Maybe the
it's
perverse...
yellow light material.
Maybe the perverse side will calm down as they get a handle on him over the season.
Yeah.
Or maybe this...
I think they do.
Or maybe this is just one of these things where it's the 90s and this is just... This is okay in a TV show in the 90s, so we're just going to have to deal with it occasionally.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't, like, really step over any lines, but, like, it's... I don't know. It's just so immature. Yeah. It comes off that way. That I just don't really enjoy it that much.
That's fair. I can't argue. But... Him being willing to try this thing on himself, even though it might cause his penis irrevocable damage, which really suggests that it's not his favourite thing. Like, your favourite thing you take more care of than, you know what, I will rub this alien bark thing against it and see what happens.
It's like the icy hot of whatever that that race is.
It just seems unhealthy, is all I'm saying. Just a tad unhealthy. But so there you go. That's basically episode 4. It's not surprising. I think this is maybe the shortest of these discussions we've had so far, because I think it's probably got a bit less than the meaty side.
Yeah, that's all right.
You can, of course, like the video. Helps us out a lot if you do. Gives us that YouTube algorithm goodness. So hit it. Hit the like button.
Annihilate it. We settled on annihilate, right?
Annihilate. Okay. Are we sticking with annihilate? Okay.
We're not saying smash.
We're not saying smash. Smash is a terrible YouTube thing. We're not doing that. We're going to say annihilate.
Even though we want the same outcome.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Annihilate, obliterate, disintegrate, whatever one you want.
Take it out for a nice dinner.
Yes. Yes. And then hit it.
Well, if you enjoy our reviews of Babylon 5, please check out our Patreon page. It's patreon.com/MalphusTV. And if you donate as little as $1 per month, you'll get access to bonus episodes for other shows we do. But if you donate $5 per month, you will get access to these Babylon 5 reviews 1 week early. And we are still fresh in the beginning of this, so follow along with us. Thank you.
Yes, good advice. Of course, and this again is another example of not all the characters have to be in every episode. There was no Londo, no Jakar, no...
Oh, I noticed.
No Delenn.
I think for the thumbnails, you should just add Londo into each one of them. It'd be like a where's Londo for each,
Where's Londo
for each episode.
Ah, it's a genius idea, that. So, like I said before, I think it makes sense from the perspective of like, okay, some of them require a lot of makeup. Maybe Londo the least, but Delenn and Jakar probably take a lot of makeup time.
They're not going to sit in the chair for less than 10 lines.
Yeah, so it makes sense that you maybe like alternates them sometimes when you don't need them for every episode. I get it. It makes sense. Probably made the actors' lives a bit more bearable as well. So very good.
I heard that the person that plays Calamity Jane, she's Jakar's assistant, doesn't like stay because he gets like a lot of assistants, and it's all because whoever they hired to play the characters
always hate the makeup.
They always hate the makeup. They can't stand it.
It's pretty funny.
It's too claustrophobic.
And yeah, he was a trooper for 5 seasons, presumably.
Yeah.
He's a devoted man.
Presumably, I assume he's going to make it all the way through.
Yeah.
If the prophecy is correct.
Yes. Okay, there you go. That's Infection. We'll be back next week with the next episode, which is called The Parliament of Dreams. Oh, I think this one's a relatively notable early on episode. So.
Okay.
We will see.
I remember this. This is the religion one.
Oh yeah, you're right. I remember this. I remember how it ends. I always remembered how this one ended.
We get Billy Mimi. Billy Mummy.
He's lost in space. No, he's not. He's on Babylon 5.
Danger,
Will Robinson. That one? Okay.
Yes.
That's us, guys. Thank you very much for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV and just don't give away the home world.